Vale, ahora. Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. As you can see, I've already got a crowd this time. Yeah, no, that's the crew that normally don't want to appear. Plus one person who has appeared, but you know, more on them some other time. I've got something I need to actually prepare. I think it's best if I leave it for a YouTube short to explain that part. But yes, essentially, here I am in Peru, immediately recording a Walking Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure that it's still Wednesday for people back on the other side, before I travelled backwards in time, basically, because that's essentially what happened. But yeah, it was still quite the flight, and yeah, a lot of interesting things, actually, I suppose, or at least interesting to me, which is the MO of Walking Wednesday. So I guess we'll see what happens. So yeah, I've been preparing this week basically for, you know, that trip, or this trip I should say. I don't know why I said that trip. This trip that I'm on right now, and yeah, most of it has involved either contingency plans for YouTube videos as far as uploads go, and I'm pretty sure I've got myself covered on most days. There are a couple of days that I'm thinking I still have some things to sort out. I also don't have anything planned for my 12th anniversary, which is going to happen while I'm over here. I don't really know, because last time I was away for a YouTube anniversary, I ended up just summarizing the years that had the years that were there, basically, the years that had gone by. I don't think I want to do that again, because I've also, you know, it's been more than twice the amount of time since then, and that one didn't actually go down very well. But yeah, that's for another time. What I actually have prepared is a few of those, you know, those parts of the MLP movie, and also another reaction to, well, two actually reactions to some AFNAL content. One of which I almost missed, and one of which I had been in my files for a long time. So yeah, so all of that was what I was sorting out, and I apologize to Red Letter Studios again for not getting the lines in that I was supposed to, and I just forgot to prioritize among all the other things. Because another thing I've been doing, I think I mentioned this last time, was vaccinations. Because yeah, like the day of which I would have been applying vaccinations, this would have technically been the ideal day to get the second rabies jab, because that's what they suggest, basically. But that wasn't exactly possible. So let me just look at this. Now this is a bike path exclusively. Yeah, I'm gonna go down again. Last thing I want to do is, you know, be flattened by a bike while I'm, you know, charging forward. I promise to be careful. Vaccines and all, I promise to, you know, to bring myself back alive. So that's the plan, obviously. But yeah, as far as the actual trip itself goes, or what I've had so far, I mean, basically what we did, I've proven my aunt right, actually, where she said, oh, you're gonna bring back a Peruvian hat, because that's one thing she mentioned to me rather randomly one time, actually, just while we were in Carnota, and we were talking about well, I said we weren't even talking about that at all. She just turned to me and was, you know, while we were eating lunch, and I just went, you're gonna bring back a Peruvian hat, aren't you? I could, I might. Not a thought that had crossed my mind until that point. And also not a thought that had crossed my mind aside from that point until I was in the shop, basically. Because we were like, hey, you know, let's browse around in this in this shop and see what happens. And here's the thing that I'm not sure if they're all used to, because they're not used to Galicia. But if you enter a place with the intent to browse, and there was no one else in the establishment aside from the vendors, you become their sole laser-focused target. So it just looks worse if you don't get something. But also clearly, you know, clearly they were just, you know, curious about us in general. You know, like, you know, how long have we been in Lima for? You know, where are we planning to go? Where are we visiting from, basically? You know, all that stuff, which are the same questions that I got asked at passport control, actually. And I thought, it's like, I was supposed to know my itinerary. They're going to think I'm going to sneak off if I don't mention specific areas that I'm planning to see. So, yeah, I kind of panicked there. I was like, oh, well, did you see there's a big itinerary that's, you know, of all these different places. I don't remember all of them right now. I know Machu Picchu was mentioned and stuff like that. So, that was viable. So I gotta show you this. That's where the music's coming from. I wonder how long it's been since that was updated. Oh, it's a whole mix. Okay, fair enough. That's something I wasn't expecting here. Honestly, I've been Shazamming like crazy, to be honest, for all the songs I don't recognize so far. But yeah, so I did in fact buy a hat from the guy, because he did make the good point that you know, we're going to go up a mountain at some point, so you know it's going to get cold. My ears get cold very easily. Not only that, but also he mentioned specifically, you know, like I'm getting intense headaches as a result of blockage when you're on high altitudes, which is basically aerosinusitis, and I've had that a couple of times and do not wish to repeat. So for that reason, I was swayed by his sales pitch. And meanwhile, he was, you know, talking about some other stuff about, and asking some questions about what we knew about the history of Peru. And I was like, yeah, everyone seems to be really, really intent on asking all of the big questions, don't they? But yeah. I've said this before, that, you know, sometimes I'll go to a particular place without knowing much about it in general, and just you know, learning what I can from there. Like the my upcoming book, actually, the one that I finished a few months ago, is all to do with you know, is all to do with a character who lives in Galicia and has to deal with robot babies. But you know, that's whatever. It's robot babies in Galicia specifically, and one thing that the idea to set it there started from just, you know, the annual Carter trips, but obviously there's only so much you can actually absorb in 3 weeks. So the plot, so not only the plot, but the details around it changed significantly. Even the writing style changed a little bit to account for difference in, you know, tenses that, you know, are often used in Galicia, while I was, you know, in the town I was in for the 8 months of language assistantship. So yeah, that's I'm definitely much more of an immersive learner when it comes to cultures of places, at least most of the time. So yeah, I'm interested in finding out what are all of the things here. Like, for example, the apparently the rainbow flag is also for the oppressed Peruvian peoples, basically, which I guess sort of tracks. I've got to show you this. And this, even this park actually was a recommendation from that you know, salesperson, basically. You know, that was his whole thing. So yeah, that's what we've done today. Apart from, I guess, you know, get to the hostel, despite being swarmed by taxi drivers. Apparently, there are signs at the airports that say, you know, only use you know, official authorized taxis, basically. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, but why are you specifying that? Reason is because within like within about 2 seconds of exiting the of exiting like the airport building, someone came up to the four of us and immediately said, "Oh, where are you going? I can take you. I've got a taxi." It's like, okay. And you know, Pika, to his credit, you know, he's trying to say things like, "Oh, well, I much rather use the application," you know, because he's talking about Uber specifically. And one of them, not even the first one, you know, the second person, and then his mate came along and then like started also pitching the same thing. And he said, "Oh, well, the problem with the application is, you see, you've got PEN here. Yeah, that's what they're going to charge you in, rather than in dollars." And he mentioned Canadian dollars for some reason. I don't know if that's because he thought we were Canadian for some reason, even though we were all speaking in Spanish to both of them. Canadian Spanish, a very popular language, obviously. But yeah, so he mentioned, "Oh yeah, you're not going to be charging Canadian dollars or anything." Or maybe he was thinking that we would think that was what Canadian dollars were, rather than what we actually, what we did was, you know, immediately Googled it and said, "No, is this what, you know, says Peruvian nationals here? That's just the symbol for, you know, sol, the actual currency." And so yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're in Peru, they're going to charge you using the Peruvian currency. It's, you know, not our first time traveling, nor were we born yesterday and have the assumption that the entire world operates on a single currency, that currency being Canadian dollars. So for all of those reasons, we politely exited the area, vacated the premises, and found our own way. In fact, within a few paces actually was where all the official stuff was. And they did in fact say that, "Oh yeah, you know, that's not in fact a trustworthy source. You can either take the bus that's, you know, in an hour's time, or you can take one of the taxis from this specific column." So that's what we did, and we ended up at the hostel. And then we left our bags, and then we, you know, we got another taxi and we explored. I guess, like, you know, obviously, like, other taxis outside the airports, they're fine. Oh, almost missed them. Cow goats, I guess. Interesting patterns, actually. Never seen goats that look so much like cows. Oh, and even a llama as well. Or possibly alpaca, because, you know, that's what we've because that's what a lot of the materials are made out of here, or just called. You know, you can wear alpacas here. Oh, look at that! It's just watching the baby goat. It's poking through. There they are. The not goats. There you go. You heard the kid. Llamas. So anyway, what was I saying? I was saying that I didn't talk about the actual flight over, basically, because yeah, that was the big thing that was like, oh, this is going to be very inconvenient. So, you know, I'm going to make sure I have everything I possibly, you know, have prepared, so that I am sufficiently either entertained or sufficiently busy, depending on the situation. As it turns out, I had nothing to worry about, because yeah, the first flight over was, you know, because I had two. One of them was just to Madrid, and you know, nothing out of the ordinary from that one there. The usual situation of, you know, bring what you can with you. It's only going to be, you know, like an hour or so, and you know, not gonna. And they almost had me checking my bag because due to lack of space on the flight. Which yeah, that was almost not good. But yeah, we but that there, it was fine. It's like there, I got priority boarding, so I could actually, you know, do that. And I'm glad I did have priority boarding on the second flight, because I actually ended up, you know, misinterpreting a sign that said, oh yes, you know, terminal 4S. And I think about that and think, okay, fine. So if I see a symbol that says 4S, regardless of all the other letters next to it, I'm going to go in that direction for passport control. So I was in a queue for a long time until I could finally ask somebody about the confusion. It's like, okay, well, I'm supposed to be, this already in the terminal. And I saw the signs that looked a little bit different to this from downstairs, so I went in that direction. Yeah, I thought that was like the only way to access them was through that area, but as it turns out, no, it was just around a corner that was not very visible, and a different symbol of 4S, 4 space S rather than 4S. So that resulted in me missing out on a lot of charge opportunity for my laptop from the first flight, because they didn't have chargers in that one. As it turns out, they did in the second one, but I didn't know that going in, so I was like, I need to make sure I'm biding my time here. I'm in boarding group 5, so I'm going to be last on this flight. So I watched from like a very long distance actually, as the queue slowly diminished, and then as soon as I was like, okay, just down to the last few people, up I got and went in. There's always this like idea of having like this mad panic basically, or in my experience with traveling with other people, the idea of let's get into like the boarding queue as quickly as possible, even though it's dependent on when they open up, and regardless of where you are in the queue, they will, like, as long as you don't get too distracted and divert your attention, they will board you. It's not like they're going to be like, oh well, you weren't in the queue 5 seconds ago, you're in the queue now, we can't board you. That's never happened in the history of anything. So we were fine. Well, I was fine, I should say. So I had to try and keep things as calm as possible. It's like, okay, fine, I made a mistake. What's it gonna cost me? Computer charge, sure. As long as I don't miss the flight, everything else is salvageable. And as it turns out, again, I didn't have to worry too much about at least the entertainment portion, but the busy portion, I was working on other videos and such when I actually got on the flight. But as far as entertainment goes, they actually had they had a fair amount on there. They had a few movies and shows and music pieces and all that stuff. In limited supply, I must be said, apart from the music albums, which were all complete. But I finally got to watch any of the iCarly reboot, because the thing is, with because that's a Paramount Plus show, and unless you have an American address, at least as far as I checked last time I tried to get Paramount Plus, you can't actually register for it even if you have a VPN. So there I was waiting patiently for the anticipated day that I would finally achieve a Paramount Plus subscription, a day that never came. And yeah, that was I realized, oh yeah, hey, they've got Paramount Plus now. I wonder if I've got the iCarly reboots. It's like, oh yeah, they do. They didn't have every episode. They had like 5 of season 1 and 3 of season 2. So not a complete watch through by any metric, but hey, it was something, and the show was something as well. Like, yeah, you can definitely see see the seeds of what it was, but also what it's trying to be, and with the appropriate levels of callback moments, and and the character chemistry. The best part about iCarly was always the character chemistry. So considering the fact they were missing a few of the key people involved in the original chemistry, they went in a different direction and achieved exactly what they planned to achieve. So yeah, good on them. And also a lot of the times feel like much more adults. There are a couple of things in there that I was like, okay, I mean, why did I decide to go in this direction for this rather than, a different one? But that's always going to be the case with these things. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't shown off the aviary yet. That's what Roberto's enclosure looked like. No, it's not actually. But yeah, and that. But once I got onto whoa, okay. Immediately as I came in here, the echo is substantial. All right then. So I'm kidding. I won't do that. But yeah, once I got on the flight itself, yeah. So I covered that part. Yeah. So I watched all of that. Then I tried to get it to fall asleep for, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 hours. Didn't really work. Mine was the only seat without blankets for some reason, and I thought I had them underneath me, but they just seemed to have like moved or disappeared or something. I was like, what? How did that happen? I don't know. Could I have asked for spares? Maybe. Were they around for me to do so? Not at the time. I imagine that they probably have to sleep at some point as well, to be perfectly honest. Or have some sort of, rotation going on. I'm actually not sure how that works, really. I can but speculate, I suppose. But yeah, they had their own set of headphones and everything, so I was perfectly fine. Even the first flight actually had had a little bit of time for a movie while I was filming some gacha stuff. So yeah, I was and then I woke up and then I was I continued. And honestly, I forgot that planes were like, I've been on American Airlines before, was like 6-hour flights from the East Coast to the UK. That's what we used to do whenever we wanted to visit anyone in the UK actually, but specifically my nan, because that's where we usually would stay, and then everyone would gravitate towards her house because we were there. So yeah, that was kind of how that used to go for us. But yeah, because obviously I was much smaller then. I was like, oh yeah, I actually can stretch my legs in this in these longer flights. And they have 8 X's rather than 6, and have a safety video rather than a safety demonstration. And what else? And 2 rows for passengers to walk down, not just one. As it turns out, once again, that proved redundant because I actually got trapped behind several people who either were taking forever to put their stuff away or were coming in a different direction, even including the staff. One of them, in fact, had no space to put her bag in, which meant that my bag couldn't go in there either. So I had to do a loop around for that reason, and then sat down and did all the rest of the stuff. And they had like cool like red and purple and blue lighting on the inside and everything. It was quite something. That's one way I can describe it. And yeah, it makes me think that a lot of people just think that that I can see like flights being that way anyway, and consider that the short flights are not the norm in this manner, let's say. It's like, yeah, I mean, honestly, for an 11-hour flight, it was pretty enjoyable, all things considered. And also, they served you food there, which we thought was going to have to be. We thought we were going to have to like maybe email them about me being vegetarian, but no, they have vegetarian options. So, yeah, for dinner and for breakfast. So yeah, fantastic. It was interesting because it was dark all the way through until like almost like the very end where the sun was rising behind us. Then it went back to being dark, and then as we were landing, that's when the sun came out again. Which was very bizarre. But then again, I guess that's just time travel for you, I suppose. So yeah, and that's how we ended up here. And then we more or less, because of the fact that they didn't realize that I hadn't checked in a bag, we said we were going to meet at either the Dunkin' Donuts or the Pizza Hut in the airport. Not sure how they found out that those places were there. Maybe it was just because, oh yeah, hey, at this airport you can find these things. Maybe. And then as soon as I actually like got through passport control and was done with the interview that I got, as soon as that was sorted, by the way, I had to give them the boarding pass on the flight that was from. The first time that's happened to me, because it's not called an unboarding pass. Anyway, yeah. So I was just So I was waiting there outside for them. I even like wrote down, you know, like our group on a piece of paper and was going to stick it out, you know, but do like the bit of you know, whenever they exited, because they arrived sooner than I did. I was surprised they were still at the baggage pickups by the time that I got there an hour later. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, when it comes to yeah, it turns out they even I think they came in through a different side actually that I was expecting, so I guess they had a different exit to me, which also means even if I had checked in a bag, they wouldn't have found me if that was the case. Which is weird because they had both flights from Madrid. Why would they be separated and I'd want them to take an hour longer? I don't know. So yeah, I haven't asked about that one, but eventually, you know, it was like, yeah, we reunited. I got to see someone that I haven't seen physically in at least 11 years. So that's been exciting, and now I'm going to go and see if I can actually find them again, because I have no idea where they actually got off to after I said goodbye to them on the bridge. You know, we'll see what happens later. You know, I'll post a short and reveal the things, and we'll see. But in the meantime, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of weird advertising to go around. Or not. Oh, not. They're right here, actually. I was right about to finish. There you go. I guess, but it's come full circle. So yeah, we're going to end off here, I think. Please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.